Welcome to One Drink With. I'm Dean Serneels, and this guy is
Rob Husted, and just happy to be here, Dean.
Woo! You and me both, my dear friend. You and me both. Yeah. Woo! There we are. It's always down to the wire getting our.
I just got a notification that it's time for One Drink With. So the technology is starting to work.
Yeah.
Oh, and look,
we're slowly catching up to this thing.
I love it.
You know, people have been doing these like, I don't know, these podcasts and these shows for years now, and the technology is amazing, and it is taking us like forever to figure it out on our own. It's just crazy.
We got so much time on our hands, right?
Right. I mean, we're both working full time and everything else, just like all those other people. But hey, here we are. One day we'll be doing this forever or full time. Along with that, folks, if you're watching at home, and I know you are, thank you very much. Join us in the comments. I see a few of you are already online. Join us in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. It makes a great big difference to to the algorithms. If you guys are commenting online, the algorithms are paying attention and seeing that there's interaction and engagement, and it's very important for you guys to do that for us. It's part of the Cocktail Network Live mission statement is to band all of us bartenders and mixologists and everybody in the industry together so that we can communicate and have a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool shows out there. We just hope to be another one of those great shows and help grow the community. So join us in the comment sections and drop us some questions. If you have a question, put a big Q beside it. I guess that's what a Q looks like. Put a question beside it. Danny Williams has jumped in saying the Rockin' Duo. There's Danny Williams, guys. If you put your name in the comments.
We love you, buddy.
Yeah, we love that, man. We'll drag you on the screen. If you have a question, we'll share it with our guest today, or Rob and I can answer it ourselves. All right? Cool. Rob, how are you, man?
I'm stressed, to be honest with you. A quick little update for this week for me. I was down Saturday. What is today? Today's Sunday. Friday for the South Beach Seafood Festival.
Easy for you to say.
Seminars for Pacifico Beer with Finest Call and Real, teaching beer cocktails. And It was just fun, light, 5-minute segments of each cocktail, a michelada, a shandy, and a bromana. I can't even say that word right now. And then do a little flair demo at the end. And I had the best compliment from the organizer who was emceeing. He said it to me on the side. He goes, "Rob, that was the best presentation we've ever had here."
Awesome.
Get out of here. I'm like, my boss that over there. He jumps on the mic and says it to everybody. And thank God I was filming. So that was I felt good. I felt good about that.
That's really cool. Allison Scott just jumped in. She's watching from the other room today. Hey there. Love you guys. Thank you, Allison. We love you too. Rob,
today I just finishing up with a charity golf tournament for the Cox Science Center and Aquarium.
Right.
Raising money for charity. What we do, Dean.
Yeah. Rob, give me a quick insight on how you use Finest Call or Real in making a cocktail, just real fast.
I love Finest Call for certain cocktails like the single press lemon and lime. I love it. It saves me so much time opposed to using fresh pressed juice, even though there's a time and place for everything. And the Real syrups, dude, that's money. You put that in anything, it makes anything taste better. It makes my job easier, and more importantly, when I talk to you about it with bar managers, and you can have them make amazing cocktails using great flavors and bring their instead of spending that money on raspberry or blackberries on Chambord or expensive liqueurs.
Right.
It just makes sense.
But how do you use it in beer?
Oh, I was using mango for beer. I can't even say the word. Beer mosa, mango, and a Pacifico beer with a little bit of a tahini sauce on there. It was easy. And I love using Real because it blends in so easy. Just a quick little roll, done.
Yeah. That mango, the spice is great. Sorry?
You've done some beer cocktails. I've had some from you before.
Yeah. I like to use our lemon sour, lime sour, and citrus sour. Even the blood orange sour. I put 2 ounces of that in the bottom of the glass, and then I add a liqueur or a Real flavor, and then I fill it up with beer. And I've usually got a beautiful shandy every single time, man. It's just so easy to go.
We're talking about these cocktails, and we just challenged everyone recently for our online cocktail contest of how to make cocktails. There it is. We just finished up. This Saturday was the deadline, so if you didn't do it, you missed out for our new vodka and Real syrups, exotics infused cocktail. All you had to do was create an original cocktail with a picture, putting the full recipe and procedure, minimum of 1 ounce of new vodka, minimum of ½ ounce of Real infused exotics, and go from there. And Dean, I'm excited for the ones that I've kind of glanced at already.
Yeah.
And then this week, we're going to make them and judge them. And then we're going to announce the top 3 next week, as well as the winner. But more importantly, the start of next month's contest and how to compete in case you missed this one.
Yeah, we've got a number of different cocktails to taste this week, and I'm very much looking forward to all of them. And then we'll announce that next week. Danny Williams is piping in from the comments section. If you're watching the show on Facebook or YouTube, drop a comment. How about pumpkin and Guinness? Yeah, I do the pumpkin and Guinness. Yeah, 2 ounces of pumpkin with a can of Guinness or a draft of Guinness. It's killer, especially this time of year. Pumpkin Real, pumpkin. He even types it the way he says it, pumpkin.
Danny.
So, guys, today we have a quick trivia question. We'll make it all fancy in the future, but trivia question to get you guys into the comments. I want to see you guys in the comments and join us in there. The algorithm needs you. I know there's a few of you out there watching. Before we go into 1 minute mixology, here's the question of the day. Our first bartending book was published by Jerry Thomas. Please tell us the year that bartending book was published, and we'll bring you on screen as the winner.
I don't know the exact date, so you got me on that one.
You don't know I know the year for sure. Actually,
you do, because you almost got a tattoo on you, I think.
yeah. I don't have the book in this studio, but when I finish this studio, you'll definitely have the book. It's always been in my all studios in the past. So, all right. Rob, we're getting ready for 1 minute mixology. You got your drink ready?
Yeah. Are you going to go first?
I'm going to go first. And I want you to watch for my very specific style of flair today, Rob. All right. Here we go. On today's 1 minute mixology, I start with some finest Bloody Mary mix. And let me show you what I've done here. I have heated the Bloody Mary mix up. I know it's totally bizarre, but that's what we did because 1.5 ounces of Calamity Gin from the Leaky Spout and a few dashes of liquid smoke. That's right. This is the kind of thing that we use when we're in a bar setting and we're grilling outdoors. But a heated up bloody mix. Too bizarre, but it's getting cold outside. There we go. You can see the steam coming off of that. Sometimes I use I got the drink done. Oh, what's that? Who's that guy? Oops.
Little team for things to come.
I had to solve a technical issue today, so I pre-made my drink.
The secrets of movie magic, Dean.
The movie magic. I kept the same shirt on, though, so nobody could tell. So don't tell anybody, all right?
Well, how did you make that finest call bottle fly through the air like that?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. After my piping hot Bloody Mary, it's the temperature of a coffee, Rob, with the finest call Bloody Mary mix. It's absolutely amazing, and that smoky flavor is great too. Let me go to my wide shot of just me so I can show off. Or no, you do your drink and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, set us up, man. Or you can
Oh, we got to start that again, don't we? That's you. I'm not. Nice. So I think it's kind of fun, Dean. We both did cocktails with some smoke in there. For mine, I'm using 1 ounce of Recuerdo Mezcal, which is a lightly smoked, beautiful agave spirit with a ½ ounce of Presidente brandy, followed by 1 ounce of finest coal single press lime, and again an equal ounce of Real Peach infused exotics with 1 dash of smoked bitters. If you haven't used this stuff, it's freaking amazing. And we're going to pour that in there. Shake that bad boy up. And then we're going to strain that right into our large rocks glass over ice, garnished with cinnamon sugar. And we're going to top that with a lime wheel. And there we have the Peach Presidente Margarita.
Like a boss, man. You just nailed that. Wow. Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you. I'm getting used to looking at the clock, seeing where I'm at, and either slow down or speed up. And as long as I finish on time, and what's the thing I always say is, finish your drinks.
Oh, yes. Finish your drinks. Finish your drinks. You know, when we first started doing this show, when we first started talking about it, we were like, what about 3-minute mixology? And we were going to like create a cocktail in 3 minutes. And then we just kept talking and we're like, Rob, we should be able to make a drink in a minute, right? And then we said, we got to be able to make a drink in a minute with flair.
Oh, yeah, you added that part.
And then I shortened it by 10 seconds by putting the timer on.
Yeah, and then you started shaving the timer down to less than a minute every week. I'm like, what are you doing, buddy?
It's down to like 50 seconds. It's actually like 50 seconds. But we do it with flair. And this week we've added in a flair element. I actually threw something today, and I'll show you about that in a second. But the other flair element is we can add something unique to the drink. It doesn't have to be something flying in the air. It could be smoke or fire or some crazy ice thing, some other kind of element of flair into the drink. Mine's heated. It's a hot drink, and there's liquid smoke in it. So that's kind of a flair thing because it's so unique and so different. It's worth talking about. So we've broadened the word flair just for today. Well, not for today, for us.
I enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to getting to our guests. But before we do, you got one last thing to bring to the table, if you will.
That's right. Here we go. Let me do this. All right. Thank you, Rob. Yes, I threw my finest call bottle in the air with the brand new Flairco Bandy board. I worked with John Bandy when we had John Bandy on the show. He presented a concept to us, and I took that and I made it into this. All right. The John Bandy board is now available at barproducts.com. All right. It's the first time this has ever been done. It looks like a giant V-Rod bottle opener that's specialized by Bar Products. It sits on the floor like that. All right. And we put our item on one end. And we stomp on the other, and the item goes flying in the air, just like you saw when I almost lost that finest call bottle. It's very fun. We've got a video coming out of it with a bunch of famous bartenders using it. So it's the Flairco Bandy board. It's available at barproducts.com. Go check it out. And we will have signed versions of the JB Bandy board in the not-too-distant future. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, the John Bandy board, the very first Flairco product available, actually at Flairco.com, in over a decade. So it's my first new product to present to the world. Yeah, Rob, you've had some fun with it. You've seen the guys playing with it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been fun playing with it. And more importantly, like you busted it out at Bartender Shakedown, and then seeing some people use it right away during the Flairco Freestyle, and then. Right. 2 days, and then the next day at the Yard Day, the Flairco Yard Day, and then the day after that in Orlando at CJ's Comp, Togo brought it to the stage and started using it there. I'm like, right. It's just really fun. I'm still getting it down. You know me, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to look good on camera. So I promise I'll incorporate it next week. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to keep playing with this. It's a shiny new toy.
Yeah, I've Olya and Ivan were doing it. They like within a couple of times of playing with it. They had the bottle going up into stalls. They were splitting the bottle and splitting shaker tins. You can reset the bottles to go in all kinds of different directions. So whether you're doing weddings and funerals and bar mitzvahs as a flair bartender, or if you're in a bartending competition or just behind the bar. Just a really fun way to add some more elements with your feet doing the flair.
Nice. And Dean, we're at the 15-minute mark, so you know what that means.
That means first we announce the winner of our contest. Allison Scott said 1862, and that's when the first bartending book came out. John Bandy's bartending book, yeah. The Professor Jerry Thomas came out with the Bon Vivant's Companion in 1862. Thank you, Allison. You are a winner. But now, ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting for our special guest to come on board. So please put your hands together for our guest of honor, Mr. Mariano Gil. Mariano, how are you, sir?
Hey!
Hello, guys.
Great. How are you?
Nice. First question is there. I
have my cocktail.
Is what are you drinking?
With you guys?
Say it again, Rob.
Okay.
Mariano, the first question is, what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking a Negroni, right? One of my favorite classic cocktails. Very bitter, gin forward. Yeah, I went double on the gin. So yeah, going with something bitter for this for this one.
Nice.
Awesome. There we go. Oh, now I'm in the middle. All right. Mariano, let me ask you, you've been involved in the flair bartending world for a long time, in the cocktail world for a long time, right?
Yes, sir. That would be correct.
How long have you been bartending?
Too long. I always say a little too long, but about a little over.
Sorry?
A little over 18 years.
18 years. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about your bartending career and let the people that are just tuning in and seeing you for the first time know why we think you're so awesome?
Yeah, so I started working high volume speed bars, right? So down at South Padre Island for spring break, and then from there, a buddy of mine, Carlos Lomelli, was already traveling around the United States competing.
Yeah,
and he was showing his young. So I basically had really good teachers when I did decide to start flaring, and I started flaring once I was a little older. I was already 28, and we hired Orlando as our bar back. Orlando was boy wonder. He had just turned 18. He was already had a 4-bottle sequence, so he was doing crazy things. And Carlos had as you guys know, he's had a long career in flair and cocktails. He already competed in Legends, so he knew how to practice the right way. He was already practicing with like Roto and Vlad and Danilo and all them.
Wow.
So he kind of that down to South Texas, and I was one of the first guys that was interested in it because it just makes us more bar, right? When you get to do all the tricks and people have fun and shit when they're partying. So I started focusing on that, and somewhere down the road, once I got into my 30s, I started focusing on those as well. I wanted my drinks to not suck, So lo and behold, about 20 years later, now I'm here, and everything's come around full circle. Now you're expected to be able to entertain, make a good cocktail, and know what you're doing. Know why you're putting these ingredients in a glass and why they taste good. So right. It's been, and I think the cocktail and flair scene is here to stay, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Right. Tell us a little bit more about the flair scene when you were getting into it, because it sounds like there was a really cool community going on down in Brownsville when you got into flair, which isn't the case now. There's not a lot of communities of flair right now. So getting into it, you must have got into it right at a great time.
Yeah, so there was a group of bartenders down here in South Texas. They're all very passionate about what we do. So like any bartender, you want to be the one with the high sales. But then for us, it turned into, well, I sell a lot and I flair. And then it was, okay, well, I sell a lot, I flair, and I know how to make cocktails. And it was just a group of guys that, and females too, that can work together and kind of push each other to get to a different level of hospitality. And it's kind of like a tool belt, right? So the build a house, the more tools you have, the easier the shit is. So, we take cocktail knowledge, we take the actual production of the cocktail, the prep work, being able to flair, being able to talk to your guests about sports. Like, these are all notches on your tool belt to help give the guests an experience.
Great.
So we really took pride in having as many tools as possible was one of those. And it's the fun part of all this, you know. I mean, I can make cocktails all day, but at the end of the day, like I love tossing bottles, like seeing people smile. You know?
But
that really drives me.
You've stuck around long enough to see it come full circle, where it's flair and mixology all at once now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know, there's so many quality, complete bartenders across the nation now.
Right.
And I say complete because it's all encompassing. It's the more tools you have, the more complete you are.
Yeah, it's a great term. I love that word. Mariano, you got a great flair scene in Texas. What have you been doing to help keep growing that scene, and what are you doing to do it so successfully?
Okay. Well, I mean, I base everything off of honesty. You know, I tell our staff to be honest. We set some goals, and we help work towards those goals. And having that honest approach really helps bring out the best in every single person that I get the chance to work with. You know, so I mean, it's kind of like a little school, being in our community. I mean, we should be opening up a USBG chapter. That's how successful our little programs have been.
Great.
You know, I mean, now look at it. A guy from South Texas is working at Herbs and Rye. Lorenzo Garcia. You know, and if you know Lorenzo and his story, he comes from a smaller city than what I'm from here in South Texas. You know, so it's just a whole bunch of people that really took the time to take it seriously and pay it forward. I think that's the everything. It's just paying it forward.
Nice. Let me ask you this question. At least from in Brownsville, Texas, how does the general public react to flair, whether it be behind the bar or in a competition? And when or if there is any negativity sometimes, how do you guys deal with it?
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so they're gonna talk a lot of shit if you're taking too long with your drink. Like, buddy, like that's a cool show, but I just. So we try and keep it practical. We understand that it's not carnival court, but if we have time and it's slow and you know the vibe is right, I mean, we'll definitely take it there. You know, and the people are very receptive to that. Like, I mean, there's been somewhat of an education, educating ourselves and educating our guests onto, okay, this is going to be the experience when you come here and you see flair. It's not going to make your cocktail take longer than what it should. You know, I mean, there's some cocktail bars that I go to and it takes me about 15 fucking minutes to get a cocktail. And you come to one of our craft bars down here where people know how to flair and they're knocking out your cocktail with some flair. Yeah. So I mean, I know we've talked about working flair, functional flair. It's kind of all encompassing. We make sure that we're responsible when we do it, to where the customer appreciates it, as opposed to when you're 5 deep on a Saturday night and you just really need to get everybody their cocktails, as opposed to like.
Right. Mariano, you were talking about one of our favorite bartenders and soon to be big time celebrities, Lorenzo Garcia. He's you were one of his mentors. So you had many mentors, and then you were one of his mentors, correct?
Yeah, I mean the guy puts in the work. Like, he's passionate. He's obsessive. You know, like he's got it. You know, man, like it's we talk on the phone at least 3 to 4 times a week. You know, and the conversations are always very genuine. You know, like we call each other out, but he holds himself to such a high standard. You know that it's not surprising to see how far he's come in the hospitality industry.
That's great. He's done an amazing job. And he just came back to do a bartender training for you, correct? So he's bringing some of his love of flair, bartending, and cocktails back to the community for you.
Yeah, so I mean, Lorenzo's kind of like a beacon of hope down here. You know, it's like, look at what you can accomplish if you really do it the right way. You know, so for him to come down here and share his knowledge on what he's learned, because I mean, he was teaching a lot of new people, but at the same time, he was reconnecting with a lot of people that he used to work with down here. You know, the whole community came out and was very receptive to having him down, and
awesome,
the new stuff that he had. So yeah, man. I mean, it's always good to have Lorenzo. I mean, it doesn't suck coming down to South Texas. I mean, there's a beach right here. You know, I mean, we went out there for a bit. The Herbs Rye guys, a little bit of Mexico, and ate some delicious tacos. So I'm sure a couple pounds heavier. You know, but it's always amazing how.
Yeah, he's a great fun. He's a great guy to have around, and he's just an amazing flair. Like you said, he put in the work.
Yeah, Lorenzo, tell us a little bit about.
Mariano, tell us a little bit about. I almost called you Lorenzo. Mariano, tell us a little bit about your past bartending competition experience up until today.
Okay. My past bartending experiences.
Competition experience. What kind of competitions
okay.
have you done? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the competitions I have that personally to that I kind of feel is directly for me being able to improve year after. Because at the end of the day, once you're done competing in whatever you're doing, you're humbling yourself to being critiqued by a panel of judges, right? So you can.
All right. Looks like Mariano has jumped offline for just a minute in the middle of his comment. He'll be back in just a minute, I'm sure. So it's great to see that he. Sorry, Rob?
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
It's really great to see how the connection between Lorenzo and Mariano and their huge community in Brownsville, Texas. It's a small town in Texas that really gravitated towards flair and started to create a community of bartenders focused around flair, but all teaching and training each other how to improve in the craft, be it flair or mixology, and they evolved together to create this really cool scene.
I think that's Mariano now.
Yeah, Mariano's back in here. Mariano, man, welcome back, sir.
There we go.
Sorry. Technical difficulties on this side.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of going live, my friend. But you were talking about your previous bartending competition experience.
Okay, yeah. So bartending competitions, right? So it's a humbling experience. Yeah. You go out there, you do your best. You do what you practiced, and then you get critiqued, and you have a panel of people telling you what you need to do to get better. Unless you win, very little feedback you normally get. So you learn a lot when you place second to all the way last. So I've been on the receiving end of like some last places. I've been on the receiving end of some first places, and I'll tell you what, I learn so much when I don't do as good, and I feel that that's with these last 2 years that I've actually gotten to another level. Flair, I've taken notes from the last 5 years of my flair competitions. I write down the notes that the judges give me, and I went through all my notes and just started working on every single flaw that had been pointed out to me in the past 5 years. So I decided to not work on moves, but like really take what have been telling me in the past to work on to get to another level seriously. And I feel like I did just that, and it made the world of a difference.
That's a real humbling experience, to just go talk to the judges and say, hey, where did I go wrong? But to be able to take that information and go sit with it and chew on it and because you want to get angry at the judges at first, but then when you stop and you kind of get a 35,000 view over it, you're like, they're right. I can fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you look back at yourself and what can I do better for the next time around?
Right.
Yeah. It's on you as a competitor. Yeah.
So how do you share that with your new students? Because now you're teaching more. What part of it? What's the big part of your experience that you share with your students to get them kind of past that?
I mean, you never really get past it. I mean, unless you're throwing perfect no drop rounds on, you're gonna go through the heartbreak that comes. So a lot of it, I mean, as much as you coach somebody, they have to go through all these experiences, and they have to feel those feelings when things don't go as planned. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussions, deep discussions that go into the competition and the mindset we have to have. At the end of the day, I try and let them know that above all the you get when you do go, gratitude should be the biggest one, that we're able to do this. That we have sponsors that believe in us and that are willing to help us move our craft forward. Because at the end of the day, there's prizes, and there's a lot of money that goes into helping groups of bartenders become professionals. And that's one of the main things that I feel gets overlooked in competition. That I mean, it's all about the bartender wants to be a bartender, but at the end of the day, you're getting so much support from a brand that's believing in you. Like, you need to do your due diligence and read up on that brand and learn more about the distillation process, all these things, you know? So a lot of the conversations that I have with my guys about competing has a lot more to do with just the all-around experience on what you need to take in than just the 5 minutes you have on stage. Because if you just focus on that, you're missing out on so much.
Nice.
Wow, some great wisdom there. 100% giving back to the sponsors. I think that's something that we all kind of went away from back in the day. And thank God now we're all getting back to it, and we're getting back to it with a passion. It's great seeing it. You know, some competitors really just researching the sponsors and doing certain things to incorporate within the name or their cocktail procedure or how they tell a story in the round. Really, really cool. But with that, I've been so impressed with you. You've been practicing like a beast lately. I love watching your Instagram videos and Facebook videos and seeing these updates. But you recently earned a spot to represent the United States in the International Association World Cocktail Championship in Cuba next month. Tell us about all the preparation that you've been doing for this, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, so I it's a blessing, and I'm super proud. You know, I understand the responsibility that comes with all this, representing your country, and we've talked about this before. How the World Cocktail Championship is basically like the Olympics or the World Cup of bartending. You know, so I'm going out there not representing my family, myself, or the bar. We're representing the United States. And I know we experienced this last year when we were in Colombia. We were representing the United States, American, Rob. It's one of the most beautiful experiences walking down there with our flag and greeting all these other nations, you know, and sharing this common thing that we all have together, which is a love for hospitality and a passion for hard work. Everybody that's at that level that's competing has done. I mean, everybody has their story and their trials and tribulations all to get there. It's been a crazy ride for me because I'm probably one of the oldest players. I'm 40, so I know what it took out of my body to train. I mean, I've been doing. I train 2 days on, 1 day off. I train 3 times a day. I go to the gym once a day. Watching what I eat. You know, it's all these little things that, dude. I'm taking pages out of Tom Brady's book. It's like, how can somebody at this age stay relevant, stay, you know, like competing at a high level? And at the end of the day, it's just work and being responsible and sticking to the plan. Yeah, I've had some really good mentors. Yeah, I mean, me and you were talking the other day, Rob, about you know, perfecting my garnish. You know, I was talking to Chris Cardone the other day, you know, about the mindset I have to have. I was talking to Rob about his experiences, you know, so I have a really great support group that they want to see me succeed. And all these people have done it before. They've been competed at the highest levels to where at this point, like, there's no nerves. It's just you're either prepared or you're not prepared. And when I get up on that stage, I want to make sure that I leave it all out there. You know, I'm not going to hold back any tricks, any moves. You know, like I'm throwing to. We're trying to bring home a World Cocktail Championship.
And I think from what I've seen you training, like I feel so confident that you can do it, my friend. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you in person in Cuba. And yeah, you're going to represent us, and you're going to represent us well. Help educate our audience how IBA style competition and rules are different than most common flair bartending competitions out there. And what are some good strategies in competing in an IBA comp that you've learned?
Okay, cool. So you automatically, as far as the flare part goes, you have to flare with generally more liquid in IBA competitions in your bottles than what you would in most other competitions. So, for example, the sponsor bottle, Havana Club, we need to use half a bottle for working flare. When in the United States, most comps are a quarter bottle. You know, although there are some competitions where require, like at nationals here in the United States, they require half a bottle. You know, for our exhibition, those are for your bigger moves. The bottle does 2 spins, 2 rotations at least. You know, we're used to half an ounce to even quarter ounce. At IBA, it's a full ounce, so you have to be a little bit stronger. If you're going to be juggling, I mean, your sequence of seconds. I mean, that's even though it's just half an ounce more, it still adds more weight to the bottle. Yeah. So it's also very technically sound competition. You have to do things correct. You know? I've never seen a competition with more deductions in the IBA because the procedures.
All right. He's
All right,
having some
am
more.
I back?
Cool. He's back. He's back. He is there. I'm not sure what just happened. Hey, Mariano.
Yeah, I'm getting some calls on the phone. I should use the webcam.
Somebody's phoning you. I love it.
Like, I'm watching you in Qatar. You look great. Like, dude, am I?
Are you on TV right now? He's getting another call as we speak. You know, I've learned that.
Now would be a good time to educate our audience on if you have any questions for Mariano or the rest of us, go in the chat, put a big Q in front of it with your question, and we can bring those questions on air as well. I know Dean's got some good questions coming up, but I'm curious what you guys think out there.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you in the comments, even just to say hello to Mariano. Give him a shout out if you've seen him live in competitions or if you've watched him on Instagram, etc. Hey Rob, why don't you tell us about what's coming on after the interview while we're letting Mariano get his take his phone calls.
Nice. So what we got coming on after the interview is a new segment we're calling One More Drink With. We started it last week with Phil Wills, and it was really fun and successful, and we can't wait to show you that footage as well as what we're going to do here. It's a special bonus episode where we're going to talk to the guests, ask them some questions, but it's going to be with a way to get a hold of it would be through a subscription service that we got coming up. We're not sure how we're doing it yet. All the information is going to be on cocktailnetworklive.com. We're looking, for maybe $1 a month or something low, just to help pay the bills on here because all this equipment and service gets a little expensive. We're just looking to kind of hopefully break even or even chip away at some of that cost, not put the burden on you guys because we want to spread the wealth and spread the knowledge to everybody, but we got to pay the bills as well. But some questions that we'll be asking Mariano in One More Drink With, we'll be talking about mentoring other bartenders between flair and cocktail and the process he uses to create his own original cocktails. A little teaser of some things to come in One More Drink With.
Fantastic. Yeah, One More Drink With is going to be a lot of fun where we get to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more direct. We do have a question coming in from the comments section. Question from Nick Arenas. Nick Arenas says, how did Dean get to be such a good-looking stud?
Is that your brother, Dean?
This is Nick Arenas. Come on, the guy's famous. He's the smartest guy I know, of course. Well, Nick, let me tell you.
That is a great question, and by asking questions is a great way to get on.
Thanks, Nick. I love you, man. The haircut is compliments of Allison Scott, stylist. If you want her number, I can give you a call. She does amazing work. Otherwise, it's just by surrounding myself with good friends like you, Nick. Thank you. Where's Mariano? There's the man. Welcome back, sir. So you were talking about the IBA and the difference between the IBA rules versus other comps.
Yeah, so going back to that, there's just so much more deductions that you can get, that you can rack up in the IBA, compared to other competitions. It's just very, very traditional. One of the craziest ones, it's not really that crazy because everything should be exact, but at the end of the round, when you're done pouring out your cocktails, there should be no more liquid inside your shaker. Everything should be very exact. And that to your glasses need to be chilled and how you grab your glassware. The top third is for the guest and the judge. The bottom third is for you to actually handle. It's very intense, and you have about maybe 6 to 10 judges throughout the course of the day watching everything you're doing from your actual stage. You guys have a whole lot of people doing spills and drops, and then you have a whole lot of people judging your technical side, and then you have a whole lot of people on your cocktail side. So it gives you so many more chances for deductions. It's pretty crazy. It's strict, but it's exhilarating. They love for you to put on a show at the end of the day. You're expected to put out a good cocktail, put on a show, and you're rocking with the best of the best with IBA.
Right.
It's a crazy, beautiful experience to be able to represent your country. But yeah, you definitely feel the weight of that stage when you're there.
And guys, you're both more involved with the IBA than I am. How many bartenders or how many different countries are represented by the IBA?
Mariano, you want to answer how many just qualified? Because this is the first time where they actually had to cut it down to, I think it was 25, if I'm not mistaken, or something like
It was supposed to be 64 countries from across the world, but then they cut it down to 32 countries. So we had to submit a two-minute video making one drink, and they were going to be the top 30 countries. So for us, it was fucking nerve-wracking, you know? I mean, it's like, dude, I have to put my whole body of work in flair routine. And if I fuck this one up, then there's no World Cocktail Championship for the USA, you know? And I got to eat that for the next, you know, like a whole nother year until Kobe gets out there and, you know, like... but yeah, luckily I was able to get us to the top 32. And, you know, now we're still chasing that world championship.
Nice. He's already done the semi qualifier, and he killed it for us. And they stepped up a lot, not just in flair this year, but also in mixology by adding a speed round. I think I saw, if I read that correctly. Yeah, like they're really challenging the bartenders this year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's why I kind of want to gear towards the classic for the years moving forward. You know, because that's my jam, man. I love getting down there for speed. I mean, we threw down in Nashville not too long ago where you whooped everybody's ass with Stevie. You know, so but as bartenders, I mean, that's what we love. We love, and then we already make cocktails. You know, it is really crazy though for the classic guys because they confused my package of what I needed to study with the classic guys, right? So I got their information. They have to study like a 250-page like book on the IBA. You know, like they have to take a test on top of, you know, like a comprehensive test over 250 words of literature, 250 pages worth of literature, you know, on cocktails, and go execute. And I think they have 2 cocktail rounds, the speed round, and then the written test, which I thought was awesome. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's very intense to say the least. And I've been a part of some really, really amazing competitions that really test all your skills. And it's definitely up there. You know, I mean, with what they're doing with the classic guys this year, it's phenomenal to see.
Mariano, where can we find you on the internet so that we can follow your Instagram and all those other wonderful places where you're sharing your craft with us?
Okay, cool. So on Instagram, I'm my handle is at Mariano Gil Jr. And on Facebook, it's www.facebook.com/Mariano Gil Jr. So that's where you'll find me posting my little shenanigans, you know, my training, the whole process of this, and yeah, follow along for the ride. It should be fun.
All right. Well, go ahead, Rob.
I think it's time. What do you think?
That's bringing us into our final sip before we go on to our one more drink with comments and conversation with Mariano. But first, Nick Arenas says, great seeing you guys do this. He says, I love it. And he says, I love you, buddy. He's good. He's a great guy. He's been a big part of the hospitality community for as long as I have and a big supporter of Flair Bartending. Nick, we love you, brother. All right, one more drink with coming up. Yeah, there's Mike Guthrie saying, hey.
Hey, Mike Guthrie.
Yeah, and... Yeah, Nick Arenas. Oh, he does have a question here, all right? So I haven't read the question yet. I hope it's not dirty. All right.
Oh, shit.
It feels the prestige of bartending is a bit lost in the younger generation as a whole. How do you all work to inspire these younger bartender generations moving forward? Great question, Nick. Rob, I'll start with you. How would you inspire this newer generation?
I try to lead by example with showing them things that I've gotten success from. And that's one thing we try to do with some of the competitions this past 2 years is teaching bartenders that you can be more of just a bartender. You can be a brand and sell yourself. And Mariano and everyone from Texas did such a great job of that, of getting their whole trip sponsored and paid for by their regulars at the bar and things like that. And by what Dean did with Cocktail Network Live and adding commercials and a pro sponsor in. try to lead by the example and show them some of the successes I've had, but also be honest and talk about the failures, how I learned them, so hopefully they don't have to repeat my mistakes.
Nice work, Rob. I'm going to take it from here. It's great that you asked that question, Nick. I was actually just in Australia, and we had a group of bartenders. I traveled to 5 different cities in Australia over 2 weeks, and we had groups of bartenders in each of those cities. And I was absolutely blown away by how many bartenders I said, "How long have you been bartending?" And it was 2 months and 3 months, and I haven't even started bartending yet in so many of our groups because, like you said, it's a new generation, but it's more than a new generation. It's like because of COVID, so many people have been wiped out of this industry. It's a whole new wave of people just joining in. So I go down and I start with the classics. I teach my mixing glass mechanics. I go to the basics again of how to make a cocktail because I just don't know if they're getting that information anywhere. All the world's knowledge is in the internet now, but how to find good knowledge is the challenge. So I try to bring them the things that I've been teaching about mixology and bartending over the last 30 years of my career, and hope to get them started on a good note, and knowing that what I teach them is like at the very dawn of their career, and they'll be able to take that all the way through. So that's pretty exciting for me, being able to work with those bartenders. Mariano, how do you inspire the new generation?
Well, much like Rob, I like to lead by example. You know, and there's just certain conversations that I have with the younger generation, and it's always I ask, I was like, would you like to get to the next level? Because if you do, I can help you out. You know, and there's certain things that you have to do. Period. That we all do on a daily basis, and it's just taking our work seriously. So I always ask, and then if they are motivated, then they're going to get the best version of me helping them out. You know,
Wonderful.
So I mean, yeah, definitely lead by example.
You're always giving the best version of yourself. I love your discipline when you say that. It's amazing.
Yeah, Mariano gives a great example, and I wish I had listened when I was first getting into flair, like you're giving these guys, man. So well done, you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Rob, final sip. What is your final sip of the day?
Final sip of the day.
Thank you, Nick. Before you say that, Nick says, those are great answers. Thank you, guys. Just wanted to show the conversation we've got going on in the comments. Thanks, Nick. We appreciate you, brother. All right, your final thoughts there, Rob.
Final sip of the day, that bartending is more than just one discipline. It takes many aspects to do what we do. But at the end of the day, don't forget to smile.
I love your little chalkboard bits, man. It's like you planned it ahead of time, right? I'm going to figure out how to work this in. My final sip is a cheers to Mariano, but also how important it is to build a community in your small towns. You might be the guy that does flair, and everybody's like, "Wow, you're the guy that does flair." Say, "Hey, come on, let's do it together." I don't want to be the only guy. Just like Mariano followed the mentors in his city, and now he is the mentor and the leader in his town, leading so many new people. Mariano, there's nobody else that brings multiple amateurs to an event like you do. You're going to the event all stressed out, wanting to compete, but more important, and you put even more effort into the 2 or 3 amateurs that you're bringing from your hometown to these comps. And huge cheers to you on that. But the importance of building a community and throwing your own yard days and getting your friends out to just come and hang out, that for me is my final sip of the day. Mariano, what's your final sip of today?
My final sip of the day is it's always good to reconnect with like-minded individuals. So anytime we get to sit down and have a drink together, whether it's on camera or in a city that we've never been to before, or like in somebody's hometown, it's always a blessing to be with you guys. Now that, and I need to get myself a fucking bandy board, like a commercial again.
Well, you're gonna have to go to flairco.com to get yourself a bandy board now, aren't you?
Most definitely.
That's right. All right, Mariano, we're going to wrap up the show. Thank you very much for joining us, and joining us for one more drink with Mariano Gil. So please don't go away. Rob and I are going to wrap up the show, and we'll meet you in the recording studio where we're going to bring these videos out for a Christmas package. You're going to be part of our Christmas album.
Cool, but Dean, before we go,
Yeah?
we should talk about maybe next week's guest.
Well, I was going to do that when we wrap it up after we get rid of Mariano.
Oh, okay.
Not get rid of Mariano, but just hang tight, Mariano. We love you, man. We'll see you in just a second, all right?
All right, guys. Cheers.
Good stuff. Rob, yes, we are very excited about bringing on our next guest next week. Departing a little bit from Flair. A little bit. He's a Flair guy, though, by heart, in his heart. Tell us who he is there, Rob.
The one, the only, you know him, you love him, Mr. Steve Schneider.
Mr. Steve Schneider will be joining us on One Drink With next week, right here in studio, and I think he's calling in from Los Angeles, where he is. He's about to have a new baby, and he's going to talk about some of his influences and working with employees only, and being a celebrity in a bartending movie, Hey Bartending. So we're gonna learn about that from Steve Schneider. So thank you, Rob. Great show. Thank you, Mariano. We'll be back in a little bit with one more drink with Mariano Gil. Thanks for joining us, everybody.